After Wong Lin spoke up to stop Xu Yun from taking the black pill. The voice seemed to come from the world itself, ethereal and seemingly coming from Xu Yun's ears, from far away, and ultimately from within her mind. The simple, calm word caused Xu Yun's body to tremble as the surrounding world seemed to collapse into countless unimaginably thin laws that wrapped around her. Her body, origin soul, origin energy, and even her thoughts were completely frozen. Wong Lin appeared before her and took the black pill from her hand. The pill was like the source of darkness, capable of drawing the mind into it. Although Wong Lin's alchemy knowledge was inferior to his mastery of restrictions, his immense cultivation allowed his divine sense to analyze the pill. He discovered strange soul fluctuations within it. Closing his eyes, he realized that the pill contained the soul of a fierce ape. The ape was extremely tyrannical and struggled violently, but countless seals prevented it from escaping. Wong Lin returned the pill to Xu Yun's fingers, stepped back, and released the stop spell. Xu Yun immediately resumed her previous action, unaware that any time had passed, and swallowed the pill with determination. Wong Lin remained behind her and observed carefully. Soon, Xu Yun's body began to heat up as the pill's power caused flames to burn her origin soul. A huge golden, black-eyed ape appeared within her origin soul and attacked her fiercely. Xu Yun's origin soul had already been injured, and the pain from the flames was severe. But she refused to retreat. She fought the ape in a life-and-death battle while the flames simultaneously refined it. However, the ape was extremely powerful, and its refinement progressed more slowly than the rate at which Xu Yun's origin soul was being consumed. Her origin soul was gradually forced backward, and she trembled as the ape prepared to tear her apart. Xu Yun understood that taking the soul-parting death pill meant walking the line between life and death. She had only dared to take it because she urgently wanted to break through and become strong enough to help her teacher, Lu Yanfei, whom she was willing to do anything for because of everything her teacher had done for her. Seeing Xu Yun nearing death, Wong Lin decided to interfere so that he could continue observing the pill's effects. He pointed between her eyebrows and sent his divine sense directly into her mind. As Xu Yun's origin soul was driven into despair, a white-haired figure suddenly appeared before her. She could not clearly see his face, only his fluttering white hair. The figure casually pointed at the black ape, instantly forcing it backward with a scream. Cracking sounds erupted from the ape as its body collapsed and was rapidly refined by the surrounding flames. Xu Yun was deeply shocked by the power contained in that single finger. She felt that even the heavens and earth would collapse before it. Having witnessed Lu Yanfei's spells and even the techniques of her deceased ancestor, she understood that neither could produce such terrifying power. She believed that even her teacher might be defeated and killed by that finger. The white-haired figure then disappeared, leaving only the image of his white hair deeply imprinted in her mind. The refined ape transformed into a strange soul force that entered Xu Yun's origin soul. She entered a mysterious state similar to the Shi realm, in which comprehension of the Tao and the heavens flowed into her origin soul through the soul force. The ape had been a unique spirit beast of the cloud sea that could cultivate the Tao and comprehend the heavens like humans. Because of its long lifespan, it possessed an advantage in enlightenment, and this particular ape had lived for more than 3,000 years. Its soul had been refined through alchemy into the soul-parting death pill. After an unknown amount of time, Xu Yun opened her eyes, and her gaze shone brightly. An aura belonging to a corporeal yang cultivator surrounded her. Although she had not yet truly reached the corporeal yang stage, the door had been opened, and with sufficient time to comprehend what she had gained, she would become a true corporeal yang cultivator. Xu Yun immediately looked behind her but found herself alone. Nevertheless, she could not forget the white-haired figure and the graceful finger. As she pondered, she suddenly felt that she had seen the figure before, not as a cultivator but instinctively as a woman. She remembered her teacher's account of the ancestors' final words after casting the Great Beneficent Spirit spell, the North. White hair. Xu Yun became excited and immediately left her residence to find Lu Yanfei. Wong Lin watched from the window as her figure disappeared into the night and gained a deeper understanding from what he had witnessed. He had not expected such a pill to exist in the Cloud Seal. Realizing that the stronger the spirit beast used to refine the pill, the more useful it could be in helping a cultivator's soul gain enlightenment. This was very different from All Heaven and the Alliance. Wong Lin then remembered the beast soul that Mo Ji's master had refined and gifted to him when he was at the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect. Meanwhile, in the Rank 5 region near the continent of Mo Luo, a gigantic beast resembling a black tadpole, about 1.000 feet wide, flew slowly through the star fog. Its enormous head occupied more than half of its body, and its huge mouth seemed to devour the surrounding fog while exposing sharp teeth. Its eyes were filled with bloodlust as its slender tail swayed behind it. Two people stood upon its head. A handsome young man in purple robes whose face carried an evil and tyrannical expression, and an old man standing respectfully behind him. The old man's eyes contained a trace of affection when looking at the youth. The young man declared that he not only wanted Lu Yanfei to become his concubine cultivation furnace, but also intended to turn the Origin Sect into his inner palace. He then asked Uncle Song how confident he was. Uncle Song replied that if the old Taoist had still been alive, he would have had no confidence. But since the old Taoist had died, he was completely certain of victory. The young man laughed, licked his lips, and revealed an even more sinister expression. The rainy season continued for several months without stopping, and the constant rain weighed on the minds of the Origin Sect disciples. Wong Lin had already been in the Origin Sect for 10 days. Xu Yun had returned from her teacher and secretly investigated the 31 mortals brought back from the north, including Wong Lin, but she found nothing unusual about him. Lu Yanfei also took the matter seriously and even used spells to search for clues. Yet she discovered nothing. The mysterious white-haired figure in Xu Yun's mind had not faded with time. Instead, it had become even clearer. And whenever she awakened from cultivation at night, the figure and its graceful finger would instinctively appear in her mind, leaving her constantly wondering who he was. One afternoon, Xu Yun went to Wong Lin's residence and questioned him about whether he had taken care of the herbs. Wong Lin was calmly reading a wooden scroll borrowed from the Origin Sect, which contained the history of the continent of Mo Luo and a basic introduction to the Cloud Sea. Although he was reading it, his thoughts were also focused on alchemy and spirit beasts. When Xu Yun asked whether he had taken care of the herbs, Wong Lin simply asked whether any of them had died. The herbs had actually become even more vigorous, and even some roots that Xu Yun had considered hopeless had strangely survived. Xu Yun explained that this had nothing to do with Wong Lin because the area was rich in spiritual energy and the herbs, being mostly water element, could absorb origin energy from the rain. Wong Lin merely replied, "Oh," and continued reading without paying attention to her. His calm and indifferent attitude irritated Xu Yun, but when she met his eyes, she unexpectedly lost the words she had intended to say. Wong Lin calmly told her that his duty was only to keep the herbs alive and that if nothing had happened, she should not disturb him. His gaze caused Xu Yun's heart to tremble, making her wonder again whether he was the person she was searching for. Later, she took a deep look at Wong Lin before leaving. Late that night, while the rain and thunder echoed through the darkness, Wong Lin put down the scroll and pondered what he had learned. The scroll had given him a vague understanding of the Cloud Sea, while the jade he had studied over the previous 4 days had allowed him to gain some enlightenment regarding alchemy. He looked toward the sky above the basin and sensed a powerful aura coming from a Taoist temple supported by 8 enormous pillars. Wong Lin immediately disappeared from his room and appeared outside the temple on one of the pillars. Despite the violent wind, rain, thunder, and lightning, he calmly opened the temple door and entered. Inside was a giant spatial crack emitting purple light, with a shelf behind it protected by restrictions. 3 items were placed on the shelf: a longsword, a piece of jade, and a pill. When Wong Lin entered, a black-purple python emerged from the spatial crack and stared at him. Although its gaze could frighten ordinary cultivators, it had no effect on Wong Lin. The python recognized the danger and retreated, allowing him to pass. Wong Lin had actually visited the temple 4 days earlier and had nearly killed the python, which possessed enough strength to battle a late-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivator. However, because he intended to remain in the Origin Sect for some time, he had not wanted to kill their guardian beast immediately after arriving. Wong Lin reached the shelf and dispelled the restrictions with a wave of his sleeve. He examined the jade again, paying particular attention to its information about spirit beasts and alchemy rather than the spells and cultivation methods. He then picked up the inconspicuous pill. According to the jade, spirit beasts were divided into 13 ranks, and their souls could be refined into pills that were likewise divided into 13 ranks. The pill before him was a rank 8 pill passed down through the origin sect for generations. But because it lacked the soul of a rank 8 beast, its value had been greatly wasted. After studying the jade for several days, Wong Lin had gradually grasped some important principles of Cloud Sea alchemy. And examining this pill confirmed his speculation. He did not take any of the 3 items because they were clearly inheritances left behind by the sect's old ancestor. And with his cultivation, Wong Lin had no intention of doing anything that would destroy the origin sect unless there were a feud between them. Simply examining them was enough. He decided that he now needed to personally refine a pill using the method he had learned. Because his purpose in the Cloud Sea was to do everything possible to increase his cultivation. Just as he was about to leave, Wong Lin suddenly sensed something unusual. Lightning flashed over the western part of the continent, accompanied by muffled explosions that sounded as if something were attacking from outside. The continent of Mo Luo floated within the Cloud Sea and was protected by a black tower that emitted soft white light across the entire continent. This light not only pushed back the fog but also served as a defensive barrier, protecting the continent from cultivators of other sects and, more importantly, from the fierce beasts of the Cloud Sea. In the Cloud Sea, beasts were divided into spirit beasts, which had been domesticated by cultivators, and fierce beasts, which wandered through the fog and fought cultivators to the death. At that moment, the defensive light over the western region violently distorted before suddenly collapsing with a thunderous explosion. The sound overwhelmed the thunder and rain and spread throughout the entire continent, clearly reaching the origin sect. A completely black beast shaped like a giant tadpole, roughly 1,000 feet in size, slowly entered through the broken barrier. It passed through the lightning and forced its way onto the continent of Mo Luo. However, this beast alone would not have been enough to break the continent's defensive barrier. Standing on its back was an arrogant-looking old man, who slowly withdrew his right hand as purple wind swirled around it. The arrogant laughter of a young man in purple echoed across the continent of Mo Luo as he declared that the origin sect would belong to him from that moment onward. He arrived riding a giant black spirit beast, accompanied by an old man from the Purple Dao sect named Song Wudo. The old man deliberately acted domineering because he knew the young master enjoyed displaying his authority. And he believed the origin sect was now at their mercy. He released a gust of purple wind that pushed away the falling rain and even tore apart the lightning. The disciples of the origin sect immediately awakened from cultivation under the overwhelming pressure coming from the west. The 4 great elders realized that the origin sect was facing a crisis after the death of their teacher. Li Shangdong decided that he would no longer endure the Purple Dao sect's arrogance, even if it meant dying with an unyielding spirit. The 2 elders from the northern and western mountains also flew out to face their fate. Lu Yanfei, standing in the southern mountain's red pavilion, recognized that Song Wudo had personally come because he had once lost to her teacher. Although she was filled with sadness and killing intent, she rushed west and vowed that even in death she would never yield. The direct disciples of the 4 elders followed them, filled with panic, determination, and anger. Xu Yun was also among them and had already prepared herself to die. But while flying, 2 figures appeared in her mind, one with black hair who was thin and calm like still water, and another with white hair whose single gesture could cause the world to collapse. The 2 figures gradually overlapped in her thoughts. Meanwhile, Wong Lin remained inside the Taoist temple and watched the origin sect cultivators leave. He calmly considered where he would go after the origin sect was destroyed, but eventually found the situation troublesome. He then stepped forward and disappeared from the Taoist temple. The purple python that had remained hidden ever since Wong Lin arrived immediately charged out and roared toward the direction he had gone, as if it knew that Wong Lin would not return for a long time. As night ended and dawn approached, the purple wind and black spirit beast continued toward the origin sect. The young master in purple became increasingly excited and told Song Wudo to heavily injure Lu Yanfei without killing her, so that he could play with her and drain her origin energy before killing her. Just as Song Wudo was about to respond, ripples appeared in the void ahead, accompanied by powerful origin energy fluctuations. Wong Lin, with white hair and a cold expression, stepped out. The instant he appeared, monstrous killing intent filled the world, causing the black spirit beast to stop. Song Wudo immediately became serious and stood in front of the young master. introducing himself and asking Wang Lin to give him face and allow them to pass. Wang Lin replied coldly that he would give him face by telling him to immediately leave and never return. Song Wudou became gloomy, surprised by Wang Lin's arrogance. Before he could finish mentioning that even the Origin Sect's ancestor had respected the Purple Dao Sect. The purple-clothed youth laughed arrogantly. Wang Lin stopped speaking and stepped forward, releasing terrifying slaughter energy from his body. The immense killing intent caused the surrounding rain to freeze into ice crystals. While the 1,000-foot spirit beast trembled and instinctively retreated after sensing the danger. The young master tried to speak, but Song Wudou immediately slapped him away and ordered him to leave, saying that he would deal with Wang Lin himself. Wang Lin then controlled the slaughter energy and sent countless strands roaring toward Song Wudou. Song Wudou formed seals and summoned purple wind to collide with the slaughter energy, creating thunderous explosions. Wang Lin then raised his left hand and used Summon the Rain, causing every raindrop within a vast area to tremble before being surrounded by origin energy and shooting towards Song Wudou. Song Wudou was deeply shocked because he had never seen either of Wang Lin's techniques. Yet their power was astonishing. When he attempted to dodge, Wang Lin's cold gaze locked onto him and he calmly said, "Stop." Song Wudou's body immediately trembled and became completely immobilized in midair. The surrounding ice crystals gathered around him and formed a gigantic ice crystal. Wang Lin then opened his storage space and took out the rusty iron sword. He advanced, raised the sword, and mercilessly slashed downward. An extremely bright flash enveloped the world, followed by a heaven-shaking explosion. The ice crystal shattered into bloody fragments, and Song Wudou's body fragmented along with his origin soul, which was destroyed by the resulting origin energy shockwave. Wang Lin had killed Song Wudou instantly within only a few breaths. Song Wudou's death was not without reason, as Wang Lin's slaughter energy and Summon the Rain were extraordinarily powerful. While the pseudo-Nirvana Void Treasure's attack was enough to seriously injure even a peak Nirvana Cleanser cultivator, Wang Lin's combat experience further widened the difference between them. After killing Song Wudou, Wang Lin turned toward the black spirit beast, while the purple-clothed young master, having witnessed everything, screamed in terror. Wang Lin coldly looked at him and stepped forward. At the same time, the Origin Sect's 4 elders and Lu Yanfei arrived behind Wang Lin and heard the young master's terrified scream. The rain suddenly stopped, the sky cleared, and a faint rainbow appeared. Wang Lin's white-haired figure pursued the black spirit beast, becoming deeply imprinted in Lu Yanfei's eyes. The white-haired figure beneath the rainbow became an unforgettable image permanently engraved in the minds of the 4 great elders of the Origin Sect. The smell of blood filling the air and the violent fluctuations left by the collapse of an origin soul proved that a shocking battle had just occurred. The brilliant flash of light had lasted only for an instant, yet it had taken the life of the Nirvana Cleanser cultivator whom the 4 elders had been prepared to fight desperately against. The sudden result left them completely transfixed. In their eyes, Wang Lin appeared only as a white-haired figure. Although his movement seemed slow, he was actually moving like lightning as he charged toward the youth in purple riding the black spirit beast. The youth was Rudy, an illusory yin cultivator and the junior master of the Purple Dao Sect. Because of his high status, Rudy had never experienced such danger before. He had originally believed that this journey would be easy and enjoyable, with Song Wudou protecting him and with his identity as the junior master of the Purple Dao Sect. He thought he could act without restraint throughout the Rank 5 region. He had never imagined that Song Wudou would be killed instantly by this white-haired cultivator, with even Song Wudou's origin soul completely destroyed. To Rudy, Wang Lin had now become the most terrifying existence in the world. As Wang Lin approached, Rudy screamed in fear and threatened him by declaring that he was the junior master of the Purple Dao Sect. He warned that if Wang Lin killed him, his father, Lu Yongkong, would slaughter the entire continent of Mo Luo. He then shouted that even if Wang Lin merely injured him, the Purple Dao Sect would hunt him for the rest of his life. Terrified, Rudy reached into his bag of holding and took out a completely black lotus that had been given to him by his father. The demonic lotus bloomed with a strange light and enveloped his twisted face. However, before Rudy could activate it, one of Wang Lin's fingers appeared directly before him. Although the finger looked gentle, it instantly struck the space between Rudy's eyebrows. A loud bang erupted. Rudy coughed out blood. His vision became blurred, and 2 streams of blood flowed from his eyes. His body was blasted backward like a kite with its string cut, while popping sounds came from throughout his body. Large amounts of blood mist sprayed from him, dyeing the sky red. His origin soul collapsed completely. At that moment, Rudy felt his heart pounding as though his body were floating in the air. His heartbeat became weaker and weaker, as if he and his heart had been separated into 2 different worlds. The sound of his heartbeat gradually faded until he could no longer hear it. At this moment, the direct disciples of the 4 great elders arrived. They saw a blood-covered figure blasted away from the black spirit beast, and that figure exploded into a mass of flesh and blood before falling from the sky. Beneath the rainbow and within the blood mist, Wong Lin's white-haired figure became permanently engraved in their hearts. Xu Yun stared at him and trembled slightly. She bit her lower lip, and a strange light appeared in her eyes. Rudy was dead, his body had collapsed, and his origin soul had disappeared just like his uncle's. Wong Lin held the blooming black lotus and Rudy's bag of holding in his hand. If Rudy's threats had been directed at a native cultivator of the rank 5 region instead of Wang Lin, they could have had a significant effect. Even if such a person came from a sect weaker than the Purple Dao sect, they would likely hesitate to kill Rudy and would probably only capture him. The Purple Dao sect was powerful enough to rank among the top 10 sects of the rank 5 region. While the name Lu Yongkong carried enormous weight, Lu Yongkong was extremely talented and famous throughout the rank 5 region. However, none of these things had any effect on Wong Lin. In his eyes, Lu Yongkong and the Purple Dao sect were not qualified to threaten him. Wong Lin possessed numerous identities and connections that carried far greater weight. He had been the Thunder Celestial of all heaven, the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, a cross-generation disciple of Celestial Emperor Bai Fang, the junior apprentice brother of Celestial Lord Qing Shui, and a disciple of the now awakened Celestial Emperor Qing Lin. Any one of these identities was far beyond what the Purple Dao sect could compare with. Furthermore, Wong Lin had cultivated for more than 1,000 years, an accumulation of experience that a genius like Lu Yongkong could not match. To Wong Lin, the threat of the Purple Dao sect was nothing more than a joke, not even worth comparing to a strand of hair on Tuo Sen's body. Wong Lin then waved his right hand and collected the enormous black spirit beast that had just lost its master. The beast was already trembling with fear, and its intelligence had awakened. Its fear of Wong Lin was no weaker than its fear toward Rudy. Yet it did not dare to resist and obediently allowed itself to be taken away. By then, the sky had already brightened and a new day had arrived. The sunlight illuminated the rainbow, which was no longer blurred but had become clear and brilliant. Its gentle light spread across the sky, the continent, and the vision of all the Origin sect disciples. Wong Lin's long white hair flowed in the wind. With a single step, he disappeared. From beginning to end, none of the Origin sect cultivators had seen Wong Lin's face. They had only seen his indomitable figure and long, snow-white hair. After he disappeared, the surroundings became completely silent, and everyone's breathing grew heavier. Except for Lu Yanfei. The elders looked at one another in shock. Their despair and sorrow had been replaced by astonishment. Everything had happened too quickly, leaving them with the feeling that they had experienced a dream. They wondered who this mysterious senior was, why he had helped the Origin sect, and what cultivation level he possessed to be able to kill Song Wood instantly. Lu Yanfei quietly said that he had white hair, then revealed a faint smile. This was the first smile she had shown since her teacher had been seriously injured. Her smiling face seemed like a flower blooming, and her happiness contained an indescribable grace and beauty. Her 3 senior apprentice brothers looked thoughtfully toward the direction where Wong Lin had disappeared. They silently pondered, but the shock in their minds prevented them from calming down. Soon, the direct disciples of the 4 elders erupted into cheers. They turned toward the rainbow and returned to the Origin sect together with the 4 elders. While moving, one of the elders suppressed his shock and reminded the others that the Purple Dao sect would certainly not remain indifferent after hearing about the deaths of Song Wood and Rudy. Another elder recalled their teacher's final words before his death, "North," and "white hair." Since this senior possessed white hair, he might be the person their teacher had been referring to. If so, perhaps the Origin sect had not yet reached its end. However, they still did not know who this mysterious senior was or whether he belonged to the Origin sect. One elder mentioned that he had carefully observed the 31 mortals but had discovered nothing unusual. Lu Yanfei firmly believed that since the senior had been willing to help them once, he might help them again. The other three elders silently considered her words. Lu Yanfei eventually concluded that searching for him would be useless. If the senior did not want them to discover his identity, they should allow everything to develop naturally. Her eyes became bright, and she smiled again. She then touched her bag of holding with her right hand and sent a force inside, destroying an old painting. Not long afterward, the people of the Origin Sect returned to the sect and dispersed while still filled with excitement. Lu Yanfei did not return to her pavilion on the southern mountain. Instead, she went to the herb courtyard together with Xu Yun. The two women were both exceptionally charming, and seeing them standing together was breathtaking. Several disciples who noticed them from a distance became momentarily entranced. However, remembering Lu Yanfei's status, they quickly recovered and approached to greet them. Xu Yun waved them away, making it clear that the two women did not wish to be disturbed. Xu Yun then spoke to her teacher with her heart pounding intensely, telling her that the mysterious white-haired senior lived right there. Meanwhile, deep within the star fog of the Rank 5 domain, there was a purple continent 3 times larger than the continent of Mo Luo. From a distance, it resembled a huge fierce beast curled up in the darkness and coldly watching the sky. Unlike the continent of Mo Luo, this continent was surrounded by 4 enormous black towers. The towers emitted a gentle light that enveloped and guarded every part of the continent. Suddenly, the star fog began to churn violently, followed by a mournful scream. A tiger-like beast standing 1.000 feet tall rushed out from the star fog. It stared at the purple continent with hatred in its eyes, while the miserable cries of a female tiger could faintly be heard from within. The beast roared and immediately charged toward the continent at incredible speed. In an instant, it reached the continent and slammed into the light barrier surrounding it. The barrier violently flickered from the impact. The tiger-shaped beast roared again and prepared to charge once more. At that moment, a ray of purple light shot out at an unimaginable speed. Inside the purple light was a dignified middle-aged man wearing a purplish gold robe. His gaze was profound, and a gloomy expression could be faintly seen on his face. His speed was so great that afterimages appeared behind him. He instantly broke through the barrier and emerged among the stars. With a wave of his hand, purple light spread outward and completely wrapped around the tiger-like beast. The middle-aged man coldly uttered one word: refine. The purple light surrounding the beast immediately transformed into a gigantic furnace. The tiger-like beast let out mournful roars from within the furnace, but its cries gradually weakened and eventually disappeared. At that moment, an old man wearing the same purple robe appeared beside the middle-aged man. He laughed and congratulated the middle-aged man, addressing him as Sect Master and praising him for successfully luring another star tiger beast. He then stated that it would not be long before the Sect Master could use it to refine his tiger bone sword. The middle-aged man revealed that he was still missing 9 star tigers. But all the star tigers in the nearby area had already disappeared. So he needed to search farther away. Before he could continue, his expression suddenly changed. He opened his storage space, and a jade flew out and shattered, revealing a soul fragment in the shape of Rudy. The fragment still contained the fear Rudy had experienced before his death before it dissipated. The old man in purple was shocked and called out, "Junior Master." The middle-aged man silently watched the soul fragment disappear and slowly closed his eyes. The old man understood that the calmer the Sect Master became, the greater the storm that would follow. After a long silence, the middle-aged man asked where Rudy had gone. The old man respectfully replied that Rudy had gone to the continent of Mo Luo. The Sect Master calmly mentioned the Origin Sect and asked why nobody had informed him. The old man suddenly remembered the circumstances and became pale. The middle-aged man stated that although Rudy was a cultivator, he was lustful and arrogant, using his status as the Purple Dao Sect's junior master to ruin many female disciples from various sects and even absorb their origin yin energy. He then reasoned that Song Wood had accompanied Rudy because Rudy had grown up under Song Wood's care and regarded him almost like a second father. Rudy had gone to the continent of Mo Luo because he coveted Lu Yanfei of the Origin Sect, intending to take advantage of the death of the old Sect Master and turn the Origin Sect into his inner palace. The Sect Master then declared that although Rudy's death meant one less scourge in the world, he was still Rudy's father. Since Rudy had wanted Lu Yanfei, he would let her die with him. and the person who killed Rudy would also be buried alongside him. The old man then revealed that before Rudy left, he had overheard Song Wude saying that Rudy intended to go to the Purple Cloud Sea to take the Heaven Yin flag left there by the Purple Dao sect. After taking Lu Yanfei's origin soul, Rudy planned to use all the female origin souls he had collected to feed a Yin celestial. Upon hearing this, the sect master's calmness collapsed. Monstrous wrath and fear appeared in his body, and he cursed Rudy as an ungrateful child. At the origin sect on the continent of Mo Luo, Lu Yanfei silently looked at Wong Lin's ordinary residence before entering the courtyard with Xu Yun following behind her nervously. Wong Lin's door was closed. After standing outside for a long time, Lu Yanfei softly asked whether Senior was there. A calm voice immediately answered, "Not here." Both women were startled because they had not expected a response. Lu Yanfei then smiled and explained that her teacher had once had an uncle master named Lu Zihao, who was devoted to the Tao and, aside from the period when he disappeared, had never left the continent of Mo Luo. He had never even gone to the main sect and had few friends. So few people in the origin sect still remembered him. Even Lu Yanfei's 3 senior apprentice brothers had never seen him. She had only seen his portrait, which her teacher had shown her and given to her because Lu Zihao was an ancestor of her Lu family. The portrait was extremely old and tattered, and she said it had been destroyed on the way back. After saying this, Lu Yanfei respectfully left with a smile. Xu Yun could not understand why her teacher had said those things. Inside the house, Wong Lin sat on the bed and stared at the black lotus in his right hand. He raised his head and his gaze seemed to penetrate the house and fall upon Lu Yanfei as she departed. Her body trembled, but she maintained her composure and continued walking. Wong Lin withdrew his gaze and praised her intelligence, although he had barely interacted with her beyond their conversation on the mountain. Lu Yanfei had made an extremely accurate deduction from her disciple's report. Their conversation, and Wong Lin's killing of Song Wude and Rudy. Lu Yanfei had already determined that Wang Lin was the white-haired cultivator. She believed that someone of his cultivation level hiding within the origin sect must either be seeking something there or avoiding enemies. Since she could not think of anything he might want, she became more convinced that he was hiding from enemies. Therefore, if Wang Lin wished to remain in the origin sect, he needed an identity that would not arouse suspicion. Lu Yanfei had just provided him with such an identity while deliberately choosing to ignore whatever enemies he might have. Wang Lin had encountered countless people throughout his life, but few women possessed wisdom comparable to Lu Yanfei's. He felt that her intelligence was different from Lu Mei's changeable emotions, Red Butterfly's arrogance, and Li Muwan's gentleness. After pondering, he smiled and decided that the identity of Lu Zihao would allow him to establish himself in the Cloud Sea Star system. Wang Lin paid particular attention to his identity because of his past experience in the All-Heaven star system. Although he had not realized it at the time, his identity had eventually become transparent to powerful cultivators, causing him considerable trouble because powerful cultivators naturally tended to reject outsiders who did not belong to their system. Given his cultivation level, resolving the identity problem was especially difficult. Lu Yanfei's arrangement did not solve everything perfectly, but it gave him a way forward. Wang Lin then stopped thinking about the matter and placed his right hand on the black lotus. Spreading his divine sense to examine it, he discovered that the lotus was not merely a treasure but a genuine living plant with several simple law formations sealing it. He found it strange that the Cloud Sea Star system possessed such a naturally formed treasure. If the seal were broken, the lotus could provide powerful protection. Wang Lin then put the lotus aside and examined the storage bag taken from the purple-clothed youth. The bag contained many miscellaneous items, including weapons and pills, but 3 things attracted his attention: a completely purple bottle, a small golden flag, and an incense stick as thick as a baby's arm. There were fewer than 100 celestial jades. Wang Lin regretted that cultivators who reached the Nirvana cleanser stage no longer used storage bags, instead opening their own storage spaces, which outsiders could not discover even after their deaths. Otherwise, the Nirvana cleanser cultivator might have possessed many valuable treasures and pills. Wang Lin picked up the golden flag and examined it with his divine sense, causing his expression to become gloomy. The flag was filled with yin energy and contained the yin souls of more than 100 women. All of them were beautiful, some extraordinarily so, yet they appeared miserable because they were sealed inside and unable to escape. A snake-like soul within the flag seemed to be devouring them. When Wong Lin's divine sense passed over it, the beast soul appeared to awaken and released a terrifying aura that caused even Wong Lin's eyes to narrow. He quickly withdrew his divine sense and stared at the golden flag in shock. He recognized the aura as extreme yin. Wong Lin immediately stood up. Deeply shaken, he realized that the extreme yin within the flag was incomplete, consisting only of a trace, and that the method used to nurture it was completely wrong. It could not compare with the extreme yang that the All-Seer had created through Bai Wei, and its quality was extremely poor. Nevertheless, it was still a trace of extreme yin. After completing the 5 elements, Wong Lin's heaven-defying bead still required yin and yang. He had already obtained the extreme yang from Bai Wei, and this trace of extreme yin was exactly what he had been missing to complete the heaven-defying bead for the second time.